There is something called divide and rule. I think you know what it is already. If I wanted to insult anybody, I would say, have you ever heard about divide and rule? Very critical question. Have you ever? But I don't want to ask that question because it will seem as if I am assuming that you have never heard that term prior to now. Divide and rule, therefore, in my opinion, is something you already know about. So I'm going to approach it from that angle that you know what divide and rule is. So, addressing that topic, I will just take your mind to what is happening under your nose, right before your eyes. You know which country in Africa you come from, you live in, you do your business and live your normal life all around that place. You know where that place is. Across Africa, what exactly do you understand regarding the way your area of the continent is governed? Now, think about it for a minute. Our topic today is divide and rule. Again, I don't want to fall into the temptation of trying to define or describe or explain or even further articulate that term because I just choose to stay with the theoretical framework that you already know what divide and rule is. So now you have people in authority in your area. When I say your area, I mean just name it. Choose the area, choose the coverage area, your local village, your local community, your your state, your hamlet, your country, and your other society segments. Think about all those areas when I say area. Now think about divide and rule. So now in all those areas that we are referring to, who is in authority? Who makes the decisions? In your own opinion, who makes the decisions regarding the operation of that system called governance in your country? Because you see, we need to begin to look at Africa as a component, and we also as a component. And then our resources constitute another component. So there are several components. So the continent is the container. So it's like a constant. The continent is a constant. And then the rest of us are variables because for us, we come into the continent through birth. We live 100 years, 120, whatever it is, and we die. Our children take over, our children's children take over. In fact, as we are talking right now, we are children or children's children or great grandchildren of those who championed the cause of the continent. So now, in that area that we're looking at, who is an authority? Who makes the decisions? Who engineers the decisions? Who influences the things that are being done and being said in those places? I want to know. You have to have the answer to the question. We are still talking about divide and rule. So now, do you see discrepancies Do you see discrepancies in the rulership, the governance, the operation, the authority system, the structure in your immediate area? Do you see it? So there's something called divide and rule, which is a factor also in the workings of the running of your area. That's what we're talking about divide and rule today. Divide and rule is a very serious matter. So now you begin to see that somebody can be in your immediate locality implementing policies that have nothing to do with the well being of your people. It happens all the time. It does happen. So, but the thing is, you might not be paying attention. You might not be paying attention. But if you do pay attention, you will notice that sometimes the policies that are being made are contrary to the needs of the people. And then the people and their activities will be working at cross purposes with the workings and the activities of those who are supposedly running the system of your area. So now you begin to notice that there is a divide and rule element. Somebody somewhere, we don't know who that person is, we don't know exactly where that person is, but someone somewhere is pulling strings, pushing buttons, making things difficult for you to achieve your purposes, achieve your aims, and get results for your people. Okay, now this comment I just made now might be going to someone in authority, someone who is like a ruler, a leader, supposedly. Because you know, I'm not in good terms with the word leader. Leaders. I'm not really in good terms with, because my definition of leadership is very strict. So you either fall into that very category or you don't. And if you're in that category, you're a leader. If you are not in that category, you are simply a ruler. You could even be called a stooge, a minion, a puppet. So because of the concept of divide and rule, cartoon characters have been at work for many years. They've been showing us the different aspects of life. They've been showing us the different ways that people achieve different results. So now you remember growing up, and it is still going on, and there is always, at every stage, for every generation, there is always a puppet show. Now, when you watch a puppet show, you laugh, you go hysterical, you get excited, you like what you're seeing, and puppet shows are everywhere. But do you really think about puppet show and what it is telling you? You need to know what puppet show is saying. You need to understand the concept behind that puppet show. You need to understand what the controller of the puppet is doing and what he's trying to achieve. So now, having said this, think about your area. Think about the things that are going on. Think about how much you are gaining or how less you are gaining. I mean, in terms of the results that should come to your area. Are you able to see? Is it possible that there is a puppet handler, a puppet controller, a puppet master somewhere hiding not in plain sight, but remotely controlling what's happening in your area. And then, having said that, now let us look at what the divide and rule system does. The divide and rule system pitches you against you within the same locality, maybe within the same village, within the same local county, within the same state, and within the same country. In fact, sometimes within the same political party. Create distrust, make you an enemy to her, make him an enemy to him, and create so much distrust that when he says something, you don't believe him because you believe that he is what do you call it, masterminded by, of course, usually when it gets to that, negative expressions are thrown all over the place. Masterminded by criminal elements, by political enemies, by all kinds of things. That's what you'll be hearing. So everybody is accusing everybody. That's the job that divide and rule does. So when you see such distrust, such discontent, such mutual aggression and enmity and all those things going on, know that there is a mastermind using divide and rule. And divide and rule is just a, what do you call it, an appetizer. The main course is divide and conquer. So when you begin to see that distrust, you are fighting your neighbor, you are fighting your brother, you are fighting your community members, you are fighting the traditional ruler, or the traditional ruler is fighting you, or everybody is just going ballistic. No, that is just the appetizer. So begin to expect the main course unless you refuse to play along. When you play along, you are helping to engender divide and conquer. I know you don't like divide and conquer. You don't like a factor that will enter your community and divide your community, and then the next thing you are all conquered. It's a playbook. I don't want to insult anybody again. I just try to respect people because I think that if I find something out, you have also found that thing out. It's not just me finding things out like everybody else is just folding their arms and looking. No, we are all busy looking in different places to find solutions. So the things I see, you also see. Divide and rule is just the beginning, and it ends in divide and conquer. So if you do not want Africa, Mother Africa, if you do not want to be conquered, then nip the divide and rule in the bud. When you see it, you should recognize it. Recognize it. That this thing looks like divide and rule. And if we do not do anything about this divide and rule that we are noticing here, it's going to lead to divide and conquer. Because what that does is you hate your brother, you hate your fellow citizens, you hate the people around you, you are suspecting them because you believe that somebody somewhere is using them to come against you, and then you kill that person, or he will kill you. Everybody's killing everybody, and when that's going on, your communal life is doomed. Your population is reducing seriously. And as that keeps happening, what you will do is just you will see that There's not hope, that's not hope. Is that what you want? You need hope. You need hope. I must tell you, you need hope. You need to be hopeful. You need to do things that will ensure that your population is not exterminated. Because that's the job of divide and rule, leading up to divide and conquer. Reduce our population, decimate you, and get you to a point where you cannot even think. You don't even have the will to do anything. You don't even have the will to live. So if you are told to die, you just close your eyes and breathe last because you've been told to die. Nothing else is left. But you had an opportunity to do something when it was divide and rule. You had something to do. You had a role to play. You had an opportunity to do something when it was divide and conquer or divide and rule before it became divide and conquer. So, but if you do not do anything, Africa, if you, of course, anyway, what am I even talking about in the 21st century? 1884 is gone, 1885 is gone, and all those years keep going and going and going. And in the 21st century, you are being recolonized. You are being recolonized. And of course, some of you are continuing in your old colonization. Even though you are independent, so to say, independent. Tell me what your independence is worth. Tell me, what is your independence worth if you are continuing in colonization? You are continuing to be a colony, but you call yourself a country, sovereign. You use the word sovereign nation. Sovereign means that you are not under any other authority. You are your own authority. That's what sovereign means. You are your own authority. So you should not just hand your country over to another authority, no matter how subtle the move is to make you cede your integrity. You cannot cede your integrity. You cannot. There's got to be, oh man, countries that do not have any resources have pride. They show their pride. They go all the way. They talk tough. And actually, when it comes to action, they also act tough. But the thing is that your will, Africa, your will, your mentality, your action, your behavior sometimes gives the impression that you are afraid of even talking. You shouldn't be afraid of talking. You should not. You should just open your mouth and talk. But just say the truth about your situation. Admit that your nation, I mean, all nations in Africa, you got to admit that you are blessed. You are endowed with resources beyond comprehension, beyond measure. You are endowed. But the more you get endowed, the more you appear to be. I don't just want to be negative. The more you are the more you are endowed, the more you appear to be ignorant. But you have individuals who studied politics, and they call themselves, you know what they call themselves? Political science. They studied political science. And so they are political scholars. But you understand one thing, in your Africa, in our Africa, the political scientist sits in the classroom and talks to students who are simply helpless. Helpless. They are helpless when they sit in the classroom because they do not know that when they come out, they will become helpless. So if you are a student at any African university and you are studying political science, what is science? Knowledge. You go and acquire a certificate, a degree in political science, and so you come back to the society where you're supposed to deliver on what you gathered, the knowledge of politics. You get there, you find individuals who have no degree in anything whatsoever. They won't even let you in the door, and you don't know what to do. You become helpless. Now you know that you were helpless in the classroom, very, very helpless, until you begin to take steps to regain Africa, so that you will not be in Africa. Someone outside Africa will be determining your fate. Because that's what's going on currently. That's what's going on. Are we going to be shy about it? Are we going to pretend we're not seeing it? So that's why we're talking about divide and rule today. You have been divided. When you see in a country where there's an internal conflict, internal war, one group is fighting the other group, and you'll be wondering, where do they get all the military hardware? See, that's a good question. Now, let me ask you, where do they get all the military hardware? Tell me. I'm asking you, where do they get all the military hardware? Critical question. Critical. So you mean that even a country in Africa that doesn't have an engineering process, of course, they might have engineering faculty at the university, whichever country you want to think about. Yes, they spend 5 years, sometimes 6 years, getting a degree in engineering, and when they are done, they will not be able to manufacture a bullet. They will not be able to manufacture a gun, but they will fall out with their neighbors, their neighboring country in Africa, or their neighboring states, or their neighboring regions within a country in Africa are fighting. And you see them rolling out armor tanks. And I'm asking you, where did you get those armor tanks? Tell me. Where did you get those armor tanks? Tell me the truth. Where did you get those armor tanks? You do not manufacture a bullet. You don't even manufacture a car. Because an armored tank is a car, it's a vehicle. So you don't have a vehicle, you don't have a manufacturing plant to manufacture a vehicle, but you are rolling out armored tanks. Who is behind it? And then if you purchased it, why did you purchase the armor tanks and armor cars and bullets and hardware? Why did you purchase them? And from whom? Just so that you and your brother in the other region of your country could engage in a gun duel. So when you are done decimating each other, the population of your country is reduced. And when it is reduced, you become what is called mincemeat. Mincemeat. That's what you are. They pick you up, put you in the mouth, they chew you, if they like, they spew you out. Because you allowed yourself to be pitched against your brothers. I mean, again, the information is all over the place. How each coup you plan and execute, how it comes about. And so you cannot even accuse anybody, because the one you would have accused is volunteering information. that they are behind the coup in your country. They're behind the coup. So you don't need to worry about accusing anybody because the people behind the coups are giving themselves up, turning themselves in, exposing themselves, and telling you that they will not let you rest, that they will not let you have peace, that they will not let you relax, that they are going to continue to sow a seed of chaos to keep you unstable. And so while you are unstable, whoever is behind it will be busy taking, taking, plundering, stealing, looting, destroying, ravaging your area. Meanwhile, you are somewhere in a war front or at a checkpoint, barricade, stopping vehicles and extorting them, people who are supposed to be your brothers, while the person behind what you are doing doesn't even know you. And you could lose your life for something you know nothing about. I want you to think. Think. Again, I want to whisper to you. Think. Let me whisper to you. Think. I said, think. What are you supposed to be doing about divide and rule? What are you supposed to be doing about divide and rule? Because that is probably the beginning of your problems. Because once you are not divided, your house cannot fall. So when the factors of division begin to show up, nip those factors in the bud. Call a meeting, call a negotiation system, call an arbitration system. Sit down with aggrieved parties. Africa. We don't want to be hearing there's a fight in Ethiopia, there's a fight in Ouagadougou, in Burkina Faso, there's a fight in Guinea, there's a fight in Nigeria, there's a fight in Sierra Leone, there's a fight in Libya or whatever. We don't want to hear those things because the people have the capacity to solve their unity problems. It's a problem. Solve it. Create unity. Don't listen to a third party trying to whisper what I call sweet nothing to you. That if you listen to those sweet nothings, you could get rich as an individual. And once you get rich, you have been initiated into that cult of wickedness. The cult of wickedness against your people. And once you begin with that, someone else will rise up from the opposite side and see what you're doing and come against you, counter. And then the person who whispered that stuff to you will say, "Don't even worry about it. I'll give you, I'll give you guns and arms and whatever you need." If you are not wise, like we see that many are not, you will buy into that problem and become that kind of asset to the enemy, and you become that kind of liability to your people, to your geographic area, to your continent. You are a liability because you are an asset to the enemy. If you go and look at accounting, if accounting is evening, let's go to bookkeeping. Let's just come down to bookkeeping. In bookkeeping, there is a credit side and there's a debit side. And some item that was a debit item in the cash book becomes a debit It becomes a credit entry in the ledger. So, which is that same item is a credit here and a debit there. So, you will become like that item who is a credit here to your enemy, and you are a debit to your people. You cannot live a life like that. If you're going to be an asset at all, you should be an asset to your people. And when you do that, everything will be okay. I wish I could just whisper one more time to you. Please do whatever you can to stop, divide, and rule. Stop, divide, and conquer. Stop it dead on its tracks. Thank you.